threw this back in after talking to some folks last night. The quarterback situation. I have said repeatedly that, and there are people who looked at the spring game, which was more like a glorified scrimmage, and said, "Ooh, Merklinger did not look good. Macintyre's got the arm. Macintyre looks like the guy." And I'm like, it's not your best option. If you've got this guy, he's your number 3 guy. You hear about Agalar versus Merklinger. Agalar versus Merklinger. If he goes, it may be later in the season in a Tyler Bray type situation, and that would not be good. It's not a great sign if your young guy, who's a very, very thin guy, the least experienced guy, comes in and winds up playing. Because a lot of people want him as the guy. I'm hearing he's looking more and more like the guy. The problem is he's thin. He's rail thin. Thin as Nico, thinner than Nico.
Thinner.
You're looking at a guy who doesn't have the experience of the others. So my question is, what do you do if you brought in a guy who's supposed to be the guy? Now, you made it a competition, but Agalar's supposed to be the guy. You bought him, you paid for him, he came in. He hasn't grabbed it. Merklinger, you were hoping he was going to step up. This is a guy who was, the number 11 quarterback in America when you signed him? You were hoping he was going to step up. Apparently, he hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked any better than he did in that spring game where I gave him a pass. Macintyre looks like he's got the better arm. Looks like he's probably the more talented guy. So what do you do? Do you just say, screw it, we're keeping him on the bench, we're going with Agalar?
Yes.
Or do you say, look, I don't care if he's young, just put the best talent out there. Let's go with the arm. You follow up on your answer that you already threw out there. Yes, Agalar. You are an Agalar man all the way.
For a couple of reasons. One, because the NIL commitment that you've given him, the experience that he's shown in the past. I personally believe that if you put George Macintyre, even if he's the best candidate at this moment, 20 days out until they kick off, I think that you're waving a white flag and you're telling everybody in that locker room, look, we know what we have, but this is the best chance for us to win. I think immediately the rah-rah momentum from not only in the locker room but this fan base automatically turns negative. And we talked off the air about it. My understanding about that quarterback room is simple. If you want to win this year, Joey Agalar gives you the best chance. You want to win next year, then it's Jake Merklinger that gives you the best chance. Who's got the highest stock if you're buying into Apple in the 1990s and you hope you get the biggest investment out of it? It's George Macintyre. George McIntyre's one blown assignment from an offensive lineman away from seeing the sidelines for the wrong reasons.
Well, and even some of the plays that you'll talk about from the orange and white game, like let's say over Darius Jackson, it was Macintyre who was making that deep pass to the end zone, and then even to Travis Smith and these one-handed grabs that they all have. Like it was either Merklinger, obviously, and mostly it was Macintyre making those types of throws. But like you say, I really do think that it should go to Agalar. You hope it does. You hope at some point, like someone is there and they'll just take it, because then I do think that creates a lot of confusion for what's to come as the future of the program's concerned.
I think if they'd have drawn it up, Agalar would have come in and hit the ground running and looked great. You wouldn't be splitting reps at this point. I think he would have separated in the first scrimmage, and you wouldn't have Heupel yesterday saying, I don't see any need to change the way we're doing the reps. Yeah. That's what I think they would have drawn up. That's not what they've gotten. Bob, what do you do if you've got a young guy?
Play the best football player.
Even if he looks like he could get broken in half.
Don't care. You play the best football player.
They didn't with Milton and Nico 2 years ago.
Well, and they made a mistake. And they made a mistake. Because it just, to me, you play the best football player. And Joey Agalar seems to be the answer to every question. What? Okay, we've already talked about he throws a lot of interceptions. Oh, and he's short.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a new one to throw out there. He's short.
Off the air, we were talking about the film.
So now he's an interception throwing midget.
I mean, we're going a little rough on Agalar here.
But
today.
You play the best football players, and you let them grow and you let them develop. I mean, that's just what you do. I mean, if he gives you the best chance to win, and you're afraid he might get hurt.
All right, here's the next. Okay, next question. There would be those if you did. What if you elevated it to an Agalar Macintyre question and just said Merklinger's not in the conversation anymore? Would you look at it and say, all right, it's a competition between these two instead of these
But
three?
I ever think it is a competition between Agalar and
You're already Agalar and you're Agalar too.
But I think it's a competition between Agalar and Merklinger. I don't think it's a...
No, it is.
Okay.
It is. I'm saying people I talk to think it should be a competition between Agalar and McIntyre, not Merklinger.
Yeah, I think maybe it is with McIntyre, but he needs a much stronger arm, and I think that comes down to the weight thing that you're talking about. Like, he might understand, but I don't think he's going to have the arm that you need
the
for
arm
the
is
entire
interesting.
season.
Well, a lot of people think he's got the best arm. So it's, again, if they'd let people see more than a minute of
Practice.
crap, we'd be able to,
Yeah.
to talk about it a little bit more
know.
intelligently.
I
But
know.
let a pool reporter in.
Well, that's what
For the
Rick
love
Barnes
of God,
does
let
so
a pool
well.
reporter in and let somebody report on what they're seeing. But instead, you're going to have a fan. You're going to have a fan base that walks up, sits down, puts on the Syracuse game, and they go, "Oh my God, what happened to the quarterbacks? I thought we had 3 good ones." And nobody's going to know, and they're going to be really ticked off if they don't see good things against Syracuse.
I'm moving the goalpost here, and I know this isn't allowed. I think that we would be seeing a whole different Joey Aguilar if Nico decided to leave after the decided to leave after the
If he'd been
Ohio
here,
State game.
yeah.
I literally think that you're going to see Joey Aguilar continue to improve game by game by game when we get into the season. It's just a shame that you got a big matchup like Georgia
And
and
I
the
think-
Syracuse game.
And
coming
I
up.
think that
Yeah.
is very possible.
Yes.
I think that is very possible that he comes in and you left Appalachian State to learn a new offense at UCLA. And now you left UCLA, and now you got to learn a totally different offense. I mean,
Right.
I'm sorry, football's not rocket science, but yeah, there's stuff that you have
Well,
to
and
learn and have to pick up on. So I agree with that.
He's
I
had
think-
3 offenses
yeah.
in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That also plays a
Exactly.
role.
Well, he's had 3 offenses in the last 9 months.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing I was going to throw out, there would be people, if you talk about Macintyre being involved in this, there would be people who would immediately say, "But what about Faison Brandon? If he looks good this year, Faison Brandon may not come." To which I would say, "Who cares?"
Exactly.
If
Thank
you're
you.
living in a world where somebody could be injured tomorrow, where somebody could come in, Notre Dame could come and say, "Here's $5 million, be our quarterback," and Faison Brandon says, "Man, I loved you, Knoxville, bye," and goes. So if you get a guy, and at the end of the year you're saying, "Oh, he's a guy," super, you've got a guy.
You
You're
got a
done.
guy.
I wouldn't worry. That wouldn't even factor in. Next year wouldn't factor in for me. All right, very good. We'll see we'll hear what they wind up doing from rumors and innuendos throughout the week because no one's going to let you see anything.